quite honest with you. And I can hear one of the parent birds busy calling. Let's go to this termite mound quickly and see if I can show you where this bird is. There is the drongo sitting at the top of that tree over there. That is what I think is nesting inside of this nest. That is a fork-tailed drongo with a white-crowned shrike just coming into the picture on the right-hand side, so inconclusive. Lovely. Alrighty, and off we go. See what else we can find over here today. Have a look at this monster termite mound. Alright, we're going to send you over to Byron, who's still with those lions, amazingly enough.
We are indeed still with the lions, and they're still sitting here very, very comfortably and resting. They haven't moved into the shade just yet, and there the male just puts his head down. They seem very happy now. I think they've moved around enough for the morning. Just looks like they've decided it's now time to rest. And we followed them for quite a way. Initially, when we found them, they'd been walking through that quarantine, the clearing, not far from camp. They walked down towards the Vuyatela waterhole, spent some time there, walked back up, walked past the camp, and we're probably about a few hundred meters away from camp now, almost a kilometer, I would say. And they've now decided to rest. So they've probably been walking around for quite a bit during the evening and early this morning, and now it's starting to warm up. The sun is slowly starting to burn off some of this cloud cover. I think I can feel the temperature increasing, and the sun's trying to peek through some of these clouds. This overcast weather. And this is usual weather for this time of year. You get this cloud cover in the morning, and then the sun comes up and starts burning it off, and it's sunny by about 10 o'clock. So I think we may probably leave these lions soon. We've had a wonderful morning with them, very exciting morning watching them try to hunt. It was very, very close. And I think there's some other people that would like to come and see them too, so we'll allow them to come in, show them where they are, and we'll see what else we can find. Now let me just see where this other vehicle comes. It really is great that we are able to show people the different lions around here, or different animals and sightings. We all share the sightings, which is great. I'm showing them to come in quickly. Oh, even though this lioness's paws are massive, if you look closely, I mean, they are huge. I would not like to be hit by one of those. So it's been a really great morning following these lions, and it's always wonderful to be able to spend time with them. So we've got a question from Shivam all the way from Toronto, and Shivam would like to know how long do lions actually sleep for during the day? So Shivam, it's a good question, and you can see these lions are resting now. So we need to remember that these lions, or animals generally, don't sleep like we sleep. They do rest, and even though that lioness looks like she's fast asleep, she's still completely aware and alert of what's going on around them. But they have been known to rest for up to 20 hours a day. So they can rest for long periods of time, especially in the heat of the day. They don't like walking around too much, and they are mainly active at night. But lions have been known to rest up to about 20 hours a day. But It all depends on the area that they're in, when they've eaten, are they hungry, do they need to find food, water. So there are a lot of factors that go into it. Alright, so we're probably going to leave these lions now. I know Steph has got some more little interesting critters to show you.
We don't seem to be moving far today at all. You left us at this termite mound, we're still at this termite mound, and it's because the termites have finally opened up their chimneys and allowed the hot air, well, allowing hot air to escape, which is telling me a couple of things. Sorry, there's just flies buzzing all over the place. Telling me a couple of things. It's telling me that the temperature, the ambient temperature, is hot enough now that these termites need to open up their ventilation shafts. But that, of course, lets termites become vulnerable. These ventilation shafts have to be maintained. And that means lots of workers, and lots of workers means lots of soldiers. And then when you come and stick your head into one of these shafts and you create a bit of a disturbance, you actually get the most unbelievable reaction. So have a look at them. I'm now tapping lightly on the termite mound. You can see them shaking their head. I'm now going to blow. And these are all soldiers that are fairly young. They're expendable. Cannon fodder, I think, is a word that I'd like to use. The older soldiers, they can be up to 5 years old, are really enormous. And there's one here. I'm going to see if we can lure him out. The older, the bigger soldiers, they tend not to come to the edges like this one. I'm going to try and get this one out here and show you one of these 5-year-old soldiers, what they look like. There's one there. And here's one here. Ooh, he fell back in. There's one there. Can you see him there, David? The end of the grass? Yeah. Have a look at how much more massive he is. Now, these are the ones that if you were to live on termites, these are the ones that you would want to eat. That head is just full of muscle, and these termites, the muscles that they have in their head are incredibly rich in insect protein. So about 100 grams of these termites, you can roast them, you can just eat them raw, you can boil them, you can do whatever you want, is equal to about 300 grams of animal protein. Isn't that amazing? You can literally get all your protein needs from just a few termites every day. Now, I don't want to get my face too close to these guys. They will bite. There's blade-like pincers that they've got there, literally just scythe through skin. Here comes that big guy up here again. There he is there. Now he's been alive and in this termite mound for at least 5 years to get to that size. Can you point him out again? Let's see if we can point him out for you again. There he is over there, coming up to the edge here. That's him there. Let's see if he allows us to, if he comes right to the edge. I doubt he'll come too close to the edge. They tend not to want to sacrifice themselves, but he's coming. There he goes. Have a look at that. Just have a look at how massive he is. Even an idea, here's my finger. I don't get him too close, but there's my finger for some size comparisons. You can see that he's easily, well, don't want to be too close to these guys. They can nip you quite badly. Interesting, eh? And just the hot air coming out of this chimney at the moment is just incredible. Between 27 and 30 degrees centigrade. Now, David in Napa, you've asked me, are termites not nocturnal? David, generally they are nocturnal, absolutely. But when they've opened up a column like this, or when there's been some disturbance here, quite often what happens is they will send the soldiers out, not the workers, to try and secure the area, for lack of a better word, while the workers frantically try and rebuild whatever damage has been done. When we got here this morning, there was a whole bunch of soldiers just like this at the moment at the entrance here, and I think what's happened is some birds have been feeding on these termites, and they sent the soldiers up to try and chase the birds away. The birds will pick off the workers, but as soon as there's too many soldiers there, most of the birds, most of the smaller birds at least anyway, will move off. So I think that's exactly what happened. We got here after the birds had moved off, but while the soldiers were sort of defending last night's work from the soldiers, and I think that's exactly what has happened over here. Tell you, these places are just a never-ending source. We're going to see, oh, hang on, what have we got here? Yeah, there's a bit of a crime scene. Obviously a bird has caught a scorpion and has fed on the scorpion. That's all that's left of this scorpion's pincers. So it would have been like that. But the rest of the scorpion, this is where his head and the rest of his body would have come along, has been eaten by something. And definitely these scorpions these are burrowing scorpions, and I think that this one was probably picked up by a bird and then moved to this termite mound and then fed on. And this is what's left. And then the detritus was then cleaned out by probably ants or something. But have a look, you can see right inside that pincer as to where the muscles are inside that pincer. It even has some of those very sensitive trichobothria hairs that you can see. Those hairs can sense air currents and pressure, and that's how the scorpion basically sees its world around it. These are like its eyes. They generate a picture in its mind, and especially of what it's feeling. And you can see that the density of those hairs around the inside of its pincers is just amazing. Quite powerful. That's my fingernail there. You can see that this is a fairly large pincer. Now, Anna Marie, you wanted to know if termites can draw blood if they bite me. Absolutely, Anna Marie, termites can draw blood. I don't quite know if you're setting that as a bit of a challenge to see if I can bleed from one of these termites. They absolutely will draw blood. Those pincers at the front of their mouths are absolutely sharp. They pierce the skin and will draw blood. Interestingly enough, you can actually use these termites as a type of a suture, a stitch. I've never done it before myself. They've always let go. But what you can do is, in particular those large termites, you pinch a wound closed. So in other words, this scar that I have, you'd pinch the wound closed, and then you would let the termite bite through that pinched wound, and then you'd break the body off. And what that does is it apparently locks the jaws of that termite, and you can use them as a row of stitches. I've seen it done before on television myself. I haven't done it myself. I suppose I need to cut myself and then come and dig open a termite mound, and we'll see exactly how we do it. For now, I'm not going to do that, if you don't mind, Anna Marie. I cut myself enough without having to worry about doing it without some motivation. It will definitely happen again, probably not in the too distant future, and then I'll suture myself on walk for you. David just descending that termite mound with us. Alright, and we're going to carry on observing all these little nooks and crannies that we have this morning. I've no doubt we're going to pull out one or two more things for you. In the meantime, we are going to send you over to Taylor, who's got a surprise for you.
Right, look who we've managed to find as we've come around the corner, or actually not around the corner, we've come deep into Arathusa, and this is Salahashe, if I'm not mistaken, which is quite exciting. Oh, hang on, wait, it could be another female. I want to double check for myself, because I've just heard this guide call it another leopardess. Then maybe we need to reposition and have a look at her face. Let's quickly do that, because I wonder if it's perhaps not going to be the Inchila or / young Ingrid dam female sort of confusion which we've been having over the past couple of days. Let's confirm this. Let's see if she's perhaps going to look this way, so we can have a little look-see. No, she doesn't seem to mind us just yet. I'm going to very quickly round, obviously, to see if we can see that sort of the young Ingrid female. Take a this is better spot. No, no. Don't look the other way, girl. Right, let's see. It's definitely a female leopard, but I will tell you in a moment as to who this actually is. Oh, no, it's very difficult to see. But we can see those smudges. Can you see that? That on the left-hand side of her face, she has got 4 spots. And if I remember correctly, this is indeed the young Ingrid dam female. We'll have a double check though, because I have a photo on my phone. So I'm going to open the picture very quickly of her that I saved of her, and then we'll be able to confirm it. Let me find it while you have a look at this lovely leopard. Obviously, ideally, we'd like to see that injury on her rump, and then we can take it from there. Right, let me quickly find it for you. I think it's all the way down at the bottom. Give me 2 seconds. Come back, photo. Where are you? But you can see how she's positioned herself quite nicely up in this tree. And this is why it also makes me think if it is the young Ingrid dam female, because we know how she was sort of lying like this the last time we saw her. And I can confirm, I brought up the photo that I took of her, and I'm just having a look at the spots on the left-hand side of her face. She's got 2 spots, then 1 above the second spot if we're starting from the nose, and then 2 spots that are joined as a smudge almost, and that makes it 1. So this is indeed not the Nchila female, or Salahashe, of course. This is our lovely girl who we're just starting to see. The young Ingrid dam female, who's quite young. She was born in, I believe, 2014, around September. So that makes her just over 2 years old. Isn't she a beautiful girl? And I think this is quite a lovely position that she's dangling from. I may have to chat on the radio every now and then, just to keep in touch with the Arathusa guides. Unfortunately, it's actually just me here in the sighting at the moment, so I've got no one to handle the radio for me. But isn't this incredible that Tingana wasn't wanting to play games and sort of show his face to us this morning, but thankfully we've managed to find this beautiful leopardess. And I'm glad to see that she's well. I know a few of you were concerned about the injury that she had on her rump. I think you can sort of see it there. I think that's sort of it. You can see where, you see where her tail sort of joins with her bum. If you can sort of see that, you see how the hair looks like it looks like it's been licked quite regularly, and I don't know if you can see, the hair looks almost like it's got saliva stuck to it. Now, that would be an indication that there is probably a wound there. You know how the cats, if they do have a wound they can reach, they will constantly groom it to try and keep it clean. Now, obviously, we will be able to see it if she moves her bum around a little bit, but we'll just have to wait patiently. But I think that spot pattern that she has on the left side of her face is quite unique, with those 2 spots that have joined to sort of make 1. And I have to say thank you again to Crystal and all her hard work with helping and doing some investigating and helping us successfully identify this leopard and come sort of to terms with what really is going on and not misidentify the cats. Isn't this lovely? It's a pity we've got a bit of a grey sky as a background, but it seems as though the sun is trying to poke through, and maybe we will get a clear sky. The wind is a little bit of a breeze, not too much. And she doesn't look too thin either. It's quite difficult to see her stomach, but it looks like it's bulging slightly from the side, so maybe she's had something to eat. I'm also just scanning the tree now to see if I can see any old carcasses. It doesn't seem that way. It seems as though she's just perched herself up here to have a little Thursday morning siesta. Now, no, Dark Tranquility this morning is wondering if this lion, it's not a lioness, this leopardess is going to get a name soon. I'm hoping so. I think she's old enough now. I know she's just over 2 years old, so I suspect that she would perhaps get a name. And maybe once they officially sort out the confusion of the misidentification of this leopardess and Nchila, then will they give her a name. But it's something to look out for, and that will probably have to be addressed in the up-and-coming weeks. Now, I did see some impala dashing past, but in the far distance, they've disappeared now. She doesn't seem to have spotted anything, though. I think she's in dreamland at the moment. Now, remember the other afternoon, a few afternoons ago, we were quite fortunate to come across the two cheetah brothers. And there was a couple of questions on how do you tell the difference between a cheetah and a leopard. And we looked at the differences of the cheetah, and I think it would be quite a nice opportunity to have a look at a leopard now. Now you can see on their feet and going up towards their hind quarters, there are in fact actual spots. But as you go up and slowly make your way around to the rest of her body, you'll see that those spots then turn into rosettes. Can you see that beautiful patterning there? Now this is unique, of course. Jaguars and leopards have these rosettes on them. And then if you go towards her face, you will clearly see that she is lacking those trademark teardrops that sort of run from the corners of the eyes right down towards the mouth that we would normally see on a cheetah. And you can see those rosettes then become spots again around her face. And of course, I think that the patterning by their whiskers is way more prominent than what you see on the other cats. And of course, leopards are a little bit more robust than cheetah. Cheetah are taller, but they seem to be more slight, more slender, and well adapted for running fast. You can see she's panting quite hard though. She obviously has got a full belly, and with the bit of heat that we're having, she might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And not too many birds chirping around either. It's actually very quiet here. And this looks like to be possibly a female marula tree, which is quite exciting that she's sitting in. So remember that fruit that I showed you this morning? Now, this tree will definitely get fruit. I think you can see the leaves all starting to develop now, and there's very little vegetation at the base of the tree, which is actually how I know that it is a female marula tree. Normally you see very little sort of branches and no grass at all almost around the base of female marulas, because they're the only ones that bear fruits. So with all the animals coming around to feed on them, they sort of bulldoze the vegetation over. Now, we've been seeing her sort of all over the show. It seems like she's moving in between the various properties. And I know that Angela and Brian from Missouri is wondering if she's in danger from Karula and her daughters because she's in her territory. Now, you're quite correct in thinking this, Angela and Brian. And she is indeed in a little bit of trouble. And I think that's why she hasn't found a permanent home just yet. She's sort of living in between all the other leopards' territories. But I believe she's been hanging around on Arathusa the last couple of weeks. And then prior to that, I think she spent most of August and September on Elephant Plains, so a little bit further south from where we are now. And I'm sure she'll eventually find a gap, though, somewhere to sort of move in. And it's quite unusual that she's come so far north. I mean, her mother is from Londolozi, the northern sectors of Londolozi. Normally what happens with the leopards is that they do open up territories. They'll chase other females out so that their daughters can have a spot right next to them. But it seems as though that didn't happen. Possibly that the density of leopards is just much larger than what it is up here further north, and there just wasn't a spot for her. So it's okay though. It happens occasionally though where they have to move quite far from home. She seems to be doing all right. I think she did have a bit of a battle, though, with one of the leopards, whether it was Salahashe, Karula, Shadow. I'm not sure who she stumbled into and sustained that injury on her tail. But like I said, it's just a bit raw. It's not a massive gash or anything. I don't think it's causing her too much trouble. And I'm sure she would have learned from that experience as well. I think that's the first thing that happens with leopards, is that become quite blasé because they've lived their entire lives with their mothers and they had mom to protect them, almost like what we see with the lions and their little cubs. They think that they're invincible until they have to go out on their own. And then, well, I'm sure that every lion, especially the male lions, have at least one run-in and realize and get put back into their place. And I think that's what happened with this leopard. Isn't that a beautiful shot of her tail just dangling down from that tree? And that's always my favorite part of a leopard, when they're attempting to stalk or listen out for something to potentially hunt, is how that tail twitches. And I always describe it, it's like their brain is thinking. Now I very quickly just want to update this sighting. There's still one mobile lock with Mafazi Ingwe. We're sort of halfway between second windmill and Lela. She's Lalapanzi Pazulu Hlahla. Just quick. Asked for as guides is, can we see a leopard in a tree? And I promise you, it's actually not as common as you think it is. They love to sit up in these beautiful marulas. But sometimes it's so hard to find them, especially if the tree is in the middle of a block and they've leapt over all the roads and not left many footprints behind. Then it, of course, becomes quite difficult. But she's very high off the ground. And at one point she did hear those impalas sort of snorting a little bit. But she didn't really react to it. I think she's got a full belly and is not interested in eating anything currently. Just a gentle breeze in the background. You can see the marula leaves slowly or slightly fluttering. She is well rested. And it's amazing how different leopards like to do different things. Not all leopards like to sit up in trees. I remember down in the south there was one leopard that actually just preferred to be on the ground all the time, and I don't think I ever saw her up in a tree. And then, of course, my favorite leopard, and out of all the leopards that I've ever come across, Lisbon, she was notorious for sitting up in marula trees. And of course, she loved to sit on the termite mounds too. So when you were looking for her, those were the two things you looked for: termite mounds and marula trees. And you were almost guaranteed to find her in one. Now we've been lucky. We've been seeing so many different leopards. We had a quick view of Tingana this morning. We of course have got the young Ingrid's dam female up in the tree. And I know, Sarah, you were asking this morning, how many leopards live in this region? Now, it's quite a big area, but if we talk about the traversing areas that we sort of are allowed to drive on, there's quite a few. I'll probably have to count them all, but let's give it a rough guess. I'm going to say at least about 10, a minimum of 10 leopards. Mainly those are females, and then we see a couple of males every now and then. I suppose actually even more now with all the cubs. I mean, quickly, let's watch her for a bit. I'm going to do a bit of counting of all the leopards that I've seen. Obviously, there's a few that I haven't seen just yet. Well, I'm just thinking straight off of the top of my head, I've already got 11 leopards. And that's the ones that I've seen. Excluding, I added the Anderson male in. I haven't seen him. Plus Salahashe, that's 12. Goodness, there's a lot of leopards. I'm probably missing quite a few. I haven't seen all the possibilities of all the different leopards that occur in this area. But they sometimes don't always just stay in one spot, especially if it's a male. It's not uncommon to see young males coming through looking for potential openings. You know, trying to find an old male that's at the end of his time. That would be an easy challenge for him to take over. This is lovely though. Right, let's quickly go across back to Byron.
Look at this, everybody. Another cuckoo to add to our list. This is called the LeVaillants cuckoo. It used to be known as a striped cuckoo. The new name is the LeVaillants cuckoo. You can see that barring under the throat. Black and white cuckoo, very similar looking to the Jacobin cuckoo. But this is the LeVaillants. That's wonderful. That's three cuckoos that I've seen in the last 2 days. Oh, there we go. That's a lovely view of it. Oh, fantastic. Some other birds calling around here too. Sounds like the green wood hoopers. But we just really wanted to show you this cuckoo because you don't see them often. And I know a lot of our viewers who are keen birders wanted to see some cuckoos because they've all returned for the summer. These are migratory birds and they've returned for the summer. So it's great to see them. So we've seen the African cuckoo now. The red-chested cuckoo and the LeVaillants cuckoo in the last 2 days, which is great. And usually they fly off. They're very secretive birds. So, there we go. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, they just flew down, probably trying to catch little insects. There we go. Again, Brian's camera work is just amazing. And Elizabeth, I understand this is number 54 for you with on your bird list. That's fantastic. That's good. We'll have to try and get that list up quite a bit. Oh, hang on, there's another bird that just flew there. Well, this is great. Such a great view of the cuckoo. And there it goes. Lovely. Wasn't that great? A nice cuckoo. Let's carry on and see what else we can find. We've had such a great morning at the Lions, and I'm so glad Taylor got another leopard this morning. I'm actually very jealous. I've been looking for leopards. I've been wanting to see a leopard for the last few days, and Taylor's got a glimpse. She had a glimpse of the male this morning, I know, and now another one, which is fantastic. So 2 leopards for her. We had the lions. It's wonderful to spend time and watch those lions this morning. So we might try and do some birding now, I think. Seems to be a lot of birding activity around. We are heading towards Buffelshoek Dam. Who knows, we might get something coming down to drink. As I said, it's warming up a little bit. I thought the cloud cover's burning off, but again, it seems to be coming over again. I don't know. That's why I'm not a weatherman, because I never get it right. Is nice and cool, which makes for a good change. I mean, it's been very hot the last few days. It's lovely to have this cool weather. Now, as I head towards the dam, I wonder what Steph has managed to find on his walk so far.
We found the remnants of this wildebeest herd that we have on Djuma. As some of you will fondly know, that we had a whole bunch of babies actually do quite well last year, and in fact it's going to be quite interesting to see how many babies survive this year with the poor grass cover that we've had. It's going to be nice to see how many of these females actually drop young again. I think we had 11 calves last year. They're just moving across this open area. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to them and see if we can see some of last year's youngsters, which are still in attendance with this herd. Almost swelled the wildebeest population in northern Sabi Sands by double. In actual fact, is I think what it was in the end. Here they are here, and there's the youngsters coming through. Those ones that you just see there in your screen, the smaller of them. Those were the youngsters. Some more adults there in the background. They wouldn't be the ones that have babies just yet. They'll have to wait another year or so before they have youngsters. So it'll just be their moms, really. what's been quite nice to see about these wildebeest is that they haven't really, one or two have been eaten, but not that many have been preyed upon or have become food for lions over the last few months. I think they've done really well, to be quite honest with you, and I'm hoping that they give birth again this year. In the beginning of December they give birth on quarantine again, which is always a delight. So we're holding our thumbs. Perhaps that's the next bet that we can have, is on the date that the wildebeest calves will drop this year. We've already had rain, we've already had, we haven't had the woodlands kingfisher come back yet, but at some point we're going to have the woodland kingfisher come back, as well as having the baby wildebeest. The baby wildebeest come or be born, and let's all hold thumbs that they get born on quarantine. Now, we've just been remarking that the rain that we had a few weeks ago has actually fallen, and a couple of nights ago, has actually fallen in enough volume to cause these creek beds to flow. And what was amazing me is the fact that all this topsoil is now lying in these sandy areas, in these creek beds. I'm just astounded at the amount of topsoil that has come down in these creek beds. Now have a look, you can see the water was fairly high. Here's where the water level was, here, or over that, and it brought down this wash of sand with it. It was obviously picked up on the adjacent banks, and that's simply because there's no grass and no roots and no plants holding the sand together. And it's just sort of, it reminds you pointedly of the fact that this drought is going to have such a long-term effect going into the future, probably years. It's going to be really tough to decide exactly how much, well, tough and quite exciting to decide exactly what plant communities thrive and which don't. But on that note, we're going to send you over to Taylor, who's got a spotty cat for you.
Right, we are still with our beautiful leopardess, of course, and she hasn't even moved an inch since you last saw her. She's obviously sleeping away, whatever she was lucky enough to catch. And the last time we saw her, she was actually looking a little bit on the thin side, so it's good to see that since we last saw her, that she has had herself a nice meal. The fact that she turned down the impala that ran past, that was so close, means that she is doing okay. And she's fast asleep though. Very fluffy. Her coat doesn't look as beautiful and immaculate like leopards' coats normally do. And perhaps she just hasn't had enough time out of her busy schedule to get grooming. You hear the black-headed oriole in the distance calling. You can hear some palaces also in the distance. Sounds like a couple of green wood hoopoes. All the birds are starting to come alive now. And this is quite spectacular. Now, she's not a tiny leopard, I don't think. I think she's a good size for her age, but she will get a little bit bigger. It seems as though the leopards don't seem to be particularly large up further north, and I'm not sure the reason for that. Perhaps the territories are smaller. There's not as much food around, which I find very hard to believe. But down in the south, the females, some of them looked like male leopards occasionally if you didn't look at them properly. Especially there was one leopard who unfortunately is no longer alive, but her name was Warthog Wallow, and she was an absolute monster. She was very stocky, a beautiful leopard as well. She used to be my favorite until I met Lisbon. Look at her little tongue sticking out. Can you see that? Is that her tongue poking out there? It looks like it, hey? Just popping between her front teeth. Look how she looks like she's almost got one eye open. And I think it's just the way that she's popped her head onto that branch and it's now pulling the skin. The turtle doves have just joined the party too. Now, chatting about my favorite leopard, Lisbon. I know that James is requesting if I've got any special stories that I'd like to share with you about her. Now, I've got many stories about Lisbon. She was such a lovely girl, and she wasn't shy either. She loved the vehicles, she loved the camera. She did move a little bit like Marula. She often liked to move along the drainage lines, but those were her favorite spots to hunt, of course. And I've got so many stories, but I'll tell you one of my most amazing leopard experiences that I've ever had. So, we'd literally just started game drive. We had seen 4 out of the big 5 in front of the lodge at the watering hole. We had lions come down to drink. It was a mating pair that was mating in front of one of the rooms. We had elephants, of course, eating all the plants in the garden. There's also no fences around this lodge, so pretty much everything came right up to it. The watering hole having a lovely drink. And of course, all we were missing was the leopard. And I joked with my guests. I said, I don't think we should go out. We should just sit here and watch everything happen from the comfort of your rooms and in your swimming pools. And of course, then you can sit with a view and watch from a distance, which is sometimes also quite nice. But in the vehicles we hopped, and I said, wouldn't it be so funny if we saw a leopard right now? 10 minutes after I said that, she popped out of the bushes. I couldn't believe it, which was the first time that we didn't come across her when she was either up in a marula tree or on a termite mound, but she came walking out onto the road. And I was very close to the lodge. I don't think I'd even gone a kilometre just yet. And we followed her. Well, then she stopped and she had a little groom for some time. And we thought, oh, great. And I just watched her walking around, marking her territories occasionally, and it really didn't look like she was going to do very much at all. So I said to my guests, I think we'll give someone else a chance. Maybe we'll have a little look. And as I said that, she walked into the front of my vehicle and came past my door and then jumped into a sprint. She just looked up, looked behind my vehicle and started running. Here we go. We've got Madam up here giving a little stretch. Now she was running straight back in the direction of the lodge. Now, the lodge that I used to work at, let's see what you're going to do. Have a nice big cat stretch. Just reposition. That's a nice pose. And as I was saying, the lodge that I worked in, it's almost built into a hill. So it blends in extremely well. And the roofs were quite flat. So we used to have hippos up on the concrete roofs of the rooms. I've seen lions up there. And of course, this leopardess of mine, or my favorite one, she ran on top of the roof and we heard a thud, a big thud. So I said to my guests, hold on, and we quickly raced around, jumped onto one of the fire breaks, and we positioning ourselves, we were right on top of the lodge basically. Not we weren't, because I don't think that it could hold the weight of a vehicle. And there she was, dangling a bushbuck off the roof of a vehicle, off the roof of the spa, so the wellness center. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. This bushbuck, which was grazing on the lawn sort of in front of the lodge, well, it wasn't grazing, so it was just standing on the lawn. It then raced back to try and escape, and then obviously found itself trapped on the roof and didn't know what to do. Well, then the leopard grabbed it, and she managed to grab it by the hindquarters, but now there's about a 5-meter drop or so from the height of the ground towards the roof. And this was happening over the spa. So the spa manager was in the spa. She heard all this noise. She looked outside, and all she could see was a bushbuck dangling from the roof. And she heard growling, and she didn't know, so she just closed the glass sliding door and continued to watch. And Lisbon pulled and shrugged, and what she did next was she tried to pull back the leopard almost, as to try and get a better grip so she could pull it onto the roof, because remember, she just had it by the hindquarters. and I promise this is all true. I'll have to dig up a photo for you, which is on one of my external hard drives, but I have a photo of her holding this leopard. I used to have videos. I'll see if I can find them. She did this one last attempt to pull it back up onto the roof, but she lost her grip, and the bushbuck dived down onto the concrete below. It was almost in a Zen garden, so there were lots of succulents and things, and these big concrete slates on the ground so people could walk on them, landed, and then raced off down to the dam where we were watching all the different other animals. Well, Lisbon didn't even hesitate. She jumped straight off of the top of the roof and down into the Zen garden. She chased after that bushbuck. That bushbuck then obviously was slightly injured. I think it hurt its leg, but it carried on. She then attempted to try and stalk it and take it down for a second time, and that bushbuck got away. How is that for a success story? That's when you know that it is not your day to go. That bushbuck was really, it was pushed to its absolute limits, but it still managed to outsmart this leopard. And that was one of my most spectacular sightings ever. I've never seen anything like that again. It was absolutely incredible. You can imagine to the spa therapist or the spa manager, her name is actually Crystal too, she was so shocked when she saw the bushbuck then drop from the roof, and then of course a leopard in hot pursuit. I think she said it was one of the best things she's seen ever too. Now, Rena from Texas, you'd like to know, how do leopards define or decide how big their territory is? Do they adjust it with the density of other leopards or prey? Now, it depends. Every leopard's sort of territory varies in size. Like I said, males generally have a much larger territory. One male can see up to 5 or 6 females in his traverse, maybe even more than that. Whereas the leopardesses tend to have much smaller territories. And it will depend on a number of different things. Of course, availability of food is a big one, because if there's no food in their area, they're going to have to venture out of their territory into someone else's in order to search for food. But it's very, very difficult. I don't think there's any exact defining features of a leopard's territory. It's just sort of, can you defend it? And if anybody does come in that you don't want them there, can you push them out? Of course, scent marking they use quite a bit, going around trying to mark as many trees as they can. And then, of course, like I said earlier, of course, mothers like to push other leopards out of their space in order to make room for their daughters. Now you can see there's another vehicle coming into the sighting. She's listening to them now. I'm going to very quickly ask Jamie to take over the sighting, just so I can turn my radio off. Just going to wait for Jamie to come through. Right, while we do this, let's go back across to Steph and see how he is doing on his bushwalk.
Well, we're actually having quite a lot of fun here, to be quite honest with you. We are scouting for a campsite. Now, while that may seem a bit random and irrelevant at the moment, it will become clearer to you as the days and months progress towards deep summer. And some of you, at least, who watch the show as often as what you do, will absolutely see me making the most of our campsite selection over the next couple of weeks and months, and I look forward to showing you what we can do. In the meantime though, and while we're doing that, we have got this beautiful flower. This is one of the planes, a plane tree, like aeroplane, P-L-A-N-E, and that is its seed pod. Isn't that just wonderful? So it had this tiny little flower, which is now turned into this type of berry that, I wouldn't say infests the tree, I mean, but there's definitely a lot of them. You can see there is easily 5 or 6 of them there. Let me move this out of the way. Easily 5 or 6 of them there in my hand. And I think we could probably, let's take one of the more advanced of them and show you a bit of what's going on. The plane tree itself has no no uses that I know of, except as a decoration at this time of the year. And these beautiful, they call it a carpel, that fold out and reveal these quite hard seeds. No, they're not that hard. Definitely harder than a berry. I don't even think you can eat these ones. But you can see the leftover flower. That was what was pollinated by the insects a little bit earlier in the year. I say, it just sort of allows us to explore this grove of bushes a little bit better. It's a bit tough for you to get up there. You're going to battle to get up there where Davey is at the moment. Lots of little trees on this isthmus, and we've got. Now, Chris, you've asked, do we have mushrooms here? Chris, absolutely we have mushrooms here. Lots of fungus out here. We have some mushrooms that can be eaten. We even have one of the largest mushrooms in South Africa that grow here. It's a toadstool that literally gets this big as a pillow. They get massive, and local guys out here will quite often harvest them and then sell them on the side of the road to eat from time to time. They'll grow here anywhere when the year is very wet, and around about January to about March is when we see them the most. We also get a bunch of very, very poisonous ones. The inky black cap is one that I know of quite well and quite fondly. We'll be showing some of those to you as well over the years, as the year progresses and into the new season. And then of course in termite mounds after it's rained, and on middens, just a profusion of different fungus. We'll be showing them to you as well. So we're going to be sending you away. We're going to carry on looking for our campsite. We're going to catch up to you a little bit later.
And look at this, everyone, a wonderful ground hornbill, beautiful ground hornbill adult, bright red face. I don't see any others around. We saw some in this area the other day. There were 4 of them. 2.5 adults. I say 2.5 because the one was just reaching that adult color, and then 1 juvenile, which was still very, very dark. But it just seems like this one is alone at the moment. You know what, I do think the others are possibly around here somewhere. It's wonderful to see the ground hornbill because they are so rare and endangered. A very large bird, and it's walking around looking for insects, dung beetles. They love feeding. There we go. See it trying to pick up some insects in that through the scrub. And then also reptiles. They'll also feed on reptiles, even snakes, certain species of snakes. A little bit difficult to follow it through there. Look at that big thick beak. It's able to pick around the scrub or the brush looking for food. Look at that. That's exactly what it's doing there now. This is fantastic. See, it's digging. Might be trying to dig for a little grub or something that's in there perhaps. Or termites. Not that the ground hornbills really feed on termites. They may do, but they generally it's insects and beetles and reptiles that they feed on. I was getting a bit jealous that Taylor got to spend so much time with Leopard this morning. So Brian and I have come into the area where they had Tingan this morning, just to see if we can't try find him. They did move through a thicket and they lost him, so we're just taking a chance to have a look around, and you never know, we might be able to find this big male leopard if he has come out. Otherwise, we can always try this afternoon again. And while we continue our search, Taylor is still with that other leopard, that beautiful female. So let's go see what they are up to.
Yeah. So things are coming along. Yeah. How's these baths?
The leopardess, of course, like I've been saying, she has barely moved an inch, just a couple of times to stretch out her legs and have a little scan around, but that tongue is still poking out. And I'm so sorry, Byron, that you were jealous this morning. It was only a brief visual of Tingana, though. We didn't have a good look at him. But I suppose it's better than nothing. But luckily for this lovely lady, she has been posing so beautifully for us. I told you, Byron, that we were going to find leopards today. Shame poor Byron's desperate to see a spotted cat. I think he's convinced that they don't occur out here in the north, seeing as though they have been evading him since he's arrived. Hopefully one of them will stick around, though, for this afternoon so he can follow up. Now, I'm sure you probably all got into a flat panic wondering who Jamie is. Now, the Jamie that I'm talking about is actually a male. This is actually a guy that I used to work with down in the southern sands, and he has now moved up to the north. So this Jamie is in fact not the female Jamie that you are also familiar with. Isn't this lovely? Now, there's a couple of vehicles that are dying to come in and have a look at her. Like I said, I don't blame the guests. This is the most iconic thing that you can see of a leopard doing, is up in a tree having a sleep with its legs dangling and tail dangling. So I think we're probably going to make some room in the next couple of minutes. So grab your last screenshots. That's a beautiful angle there of her legs. And then we're going to have to move off and say goodbye to this lovely leopardess. But I don't think she'll go too far. Like I said, she seems to have a full belly. She should be all right. And will probably rest here for most of the day. Now I just want to let them know that they should come around my side, because it's actually really nice. Here we go, just it's a signal. It's funny how we're able to communicate with our hands, a thumbs up, and wave them around, and that's what I love about guiding, is that you form the most bizarre communication with people. How this, means come forward or go down, or that's good, no, go back a little bit, wait. You do all these types of crazy things with your hands. But I think we're going to have to head out now, and we're going to give these two lovely gentlemen who have just joined the sighting a really good view. But let's carry on. Let's go back. I just want to quickly check something. Right, okay. We can slowly start moving away. Have one last little look at her, though. Right, now while I try and navigate out of this wonderful sighting, and I hope you all enjoyed that, let's go back to Steph, who is walking around.
Come back to us right at a moment of discovery. There's an insect in the mouth of the scorpion burrow. I want you to come and have a look at it. Here is the scorpion burrow, and there is the insect that is in the front or waiting in the front of this burrow for whatever reason. I've got a feeling or a suspicion that it's probably an assassin bug of some sort. It's actually not. It's a spider, and on her back are baby spiders. So it's actually a spider, and carried on her back are a bunch of her babies. It's probably a lynx spider, just judging from the size, and she's just trying to get probably have seen us. Can you see the babies on the back, Dave? I think so. Those little white dots. Yeah. Are all babies. That's incredible. Awesome. Yeah, I can see legs. So those little yellow dots on her abdomen are babies. Let's see if you can try and get as close as you can there, Dave. She will retreat a little bit deeper, but I'm sure just for our interest's sake we could try and get in there. Those little creamy colored dots that you're seeing on her abdomen, those are her babies, and she's carrying them around, just hatched, freshly hatched, on her abdomen. Yes, that's awesome. There she's coming out now. Yes, that is very, very, very cool. Now those little spiderlings won't stay with her for long at all. They will literally go through what we call their first ecdysis. They will stay until they molt for the first time. Those yellow, that creamy abdomen that you had a look at there was what they are feeding on. That is their yolk sacs. Now she's turned around and is giving us her face. This is all very tiny, folks. It literally, that is about an inch across, that hole. So excuse the slight wobble to the camera as David heroically tries and keeps his heartbeat out of the equation, which is impossible to do. That is one of the best things I've seen all day. So mommy lynx spider would have carried around the egg sac in her mouth, putting it down to hunt and to feed, and then picking it up and keeping it with her. And then when her babies hatched, they came out of the egg sac and onto her abdomen, and she'll keep on looking after them for a while. And after they ecdyse for the first time, they will then leave and begin hunting on their own, having used up the yolk that the mom had given them. That is just phenomenal. So congratulations everybody. I just actually want to get a closer look myself. Yeah, I can see there's at least 10 or 15 of her babies on her. Wow, well done. Congratulations there. It's always good. Oh, I tell you, today I mark today as the first day of summer, because literally, and I'm not even joking to you, last week when we were busy walking around, there was very little to show you in terms of insects. Lots of elephant around, lots of buffalo, lots of lion, and today it just seems as if we've turned a corner. Everywhere I look, like for instance right here, here's a beetle that I have absolutely no idea what it is, with a coppery colored head and stripes on its body, busy feeding on this raisin. Let me see if I can turn this one around. Have a look at the colors on this particular beetle. Coppery colored head, dots on the abdomen, stripes on the elytra, the wing covers. Just absolutely beautiful. Feeding on this raisin. Oh, sorry. We've got these I'm just saying, milkweed leaf beetles are these ones. I identified them the other day after having a look at them pretty much the whole season. That there is a milkweed leaf beetle. That coppery colored beetle there. And we almost always just find them on these common spike thorns. The whole of this year we've just found them feeding on these common spike thorns. They're not on any of the other trees around here. Literally just there, that beautiful coppery color. Lovely, eh? Ah, Taylor's got something we haven't seen in a long time.
Right, look at what we found. We've got a hyena. Actually, there's not just one of them. There's about 3 or 4 of them through here. Now, I suspect that they've been feeding on that buffalo, which was unfortunately trapped in the Arathusa dam. Now, I checked with the head guide of Arathusa, and unfortunately, they've called that a negative area. So that means that unfortunately we can't go there, whether it's because there's guests in the lodge still. So we unfortunately won't be able to go there until they change the status of that sighting. But never mind, finally we've actually got some hyenas. And unfortunately we can't move too much because I know we're in a very dodgy patch there. We are surrounded by gremlins at the moment. But isn't this amazing? Finally. Now I have no idea who these hyenas are. It seems as though the hyenas have come from far and wide to there and others that might get another view of them again. They have come from far and wide to feed on that carcass. You can see they've got full bellies and they were quite dirty. Maybe they've even going to go and cool down in this little pan that we've got. But isn't this lovely? So these are spotted hyena. That also looks like a juvenile. It seems to be 2 juveniles and possibly a mother, an adult, matriarch. But I don't know where she's gone now. She's also disappeared. But unfortunately they are disappearing around the corner now. We can try and see if we can reposition a little bit, but I hope that you don't lose me. Let's try and have a look with my phone. These things are amazing for communication devices, of course. Let's see if we can't get one more look. It might come back up and around. They're going down right, or they're not going to come up and meet in that corner over there. Okay. One came back. Okay, we're just trying to have a very quick look as to where they're going to go. Let's try and get a view here. Okay, I see them on top of the pan. We might actually get another shot of them up from here, now that we're on higher ground. Oh, they're changing direction. Let's quickly view it. You see her just through there? Ah, no. Let's see where she's going to pop up to. She just went down in that drainage. Let's see if she's going to come up. There she goes. Off and over to the other side. I don't know if you saw that, but it looks like her mammary glands are quite swollen. Perhaps she's got youngsters. Maybe there's some cubs. Yeah, it does actually look like she's actively been suckling. And there goes the other one. You could just saw it disappear behind the dam wall, but it's going to go a very similar route. There go the 2 of them. Oh, there's quite a few. There's 2 adults. So there must be at least 4 here that are moving around in this area. VM, you said there's a road on the other side.
Yeah, I'm driving to finish one.
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's quickly go around across to the boundary. And let's see. Now, like I said, I hope the gremlins don't attack us. We'll try and be quick about it. If you see, I'm just trying to also navigate around here. With somebody walking around with hyena footprints underneath their shoes, because I hadn't really seen. I think I've only seen 2, and then the occasion. We'll go through this little donga here. See if we can catch them coming out on the other side. I'm just having a very quick look around here just to see if we can get an idea of where they're going to come out. Haven't spotted them just yet. Can you see them? Perfect. VM's got them. VM's eagle eyes this morning. Here they are. Hyenas. There we go. They are on the large side. Definitely see. I'm going to try and snap a shot and maybe we'll be able to identify them. Well, I hope you're able to identify them by their bums, because that seems to be what we're getting at the moment. Here comes a youngster. Just try and duck's going to follow exactly the same route. A nice little one. Off they go again into the distance. Isn't this incredible? No, I'm not sure if we're still live or not. If the gremlins have attacked. Ah, perfect. Thank you. That's very good. I'm so glad that I'm still around and you're able to see all of this. Now, unfortunately, we've reached the boundary now, and they are disappearing into the distance. But wasn't that spectacular? Finally, to have a decent glimpse of some hyena. I know that you were all desperately looking for them or hoping to see them over the last a couple of weeks. Well, actually, since I've been there, I know everybody's been absolutely itching. Let's maybe see if we can get one last look. I think they could be curving out. Maybe we can look behind the trees. I want to give you as much coverage of these hyenas as I can because I'm so nervous and I never know when or if we're going to see any. We actually had a whole lot of them shouting and screaming. I think they were fighting with the lions very early this morning at about 4 o'clock. Can you get that? Then we can't go down here, hey? This is, I think, indeed the boundary. I've run out of signal on my GPS, so I can't tell you anymore. I think they, unfortunately, have disappeared. Right. But I think that that's the end of the hyenas, but as short and sweet as it was, I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. And please send through some more questions about hyenas, because I can still answer them as we go along. But let's go back across to Steph.
That hyena sighting was so short. Sounded like you were just getting into the groove with them and then they moved off, as our hyena do, always constantly moving everywhere. For years I believed that somewhere along any road there will be a hyena moving or crossing every single road, every single night here at Djuma. I'm convinced that they cover massive amounts of ground. Now, not smelling as much as they were last week. These white berry bushes have started to produce their berries, their characteristic white berry, and something that we relish while we are out here. This is a white berry bush. This whole bush that you're looking at here is a white berry bush. It does have a guari underneath it, and at the back of it, it has a common spike thorn. This is a common spike thorn. But this bush that I'm standing next to now is the white berry bush, and if you come a little bit closer, you'll see the berries starting to come out in their clusters. Now, their flower was an incredibly citrusy smelling flower that sort of pervaded the bush here for about a week, 2 weeks ago. And now those flowers have all been pollinated by a variety of different insects, generally speaking bees and flying wasps, tiny little wasps. And now we'll start to produce these clusters of white fruit that we then can eat, and it will herald the first of the fruits of the season, something I'm looking forward to immensely, with the crescendo, I suppose, being the marula fruit, which are ripe around about February to around about April is when we have the marula fruit. So we're looking forward to quite a long fruiting season, from this through to the guaris and all the rest of the things, all the way to the marula fruits in February. On that note, we're going to send you through to Byron, who's got an update for you.
Look at this, everybody. We found my favorite bird, a large martial eagle, perched right up at the top of this dead tree. Look at that magnificent bird. You can see that very large head, flattish head on top, with those feathers just blowing and lifting a little bit in the back of the crest, the back of the head there in the wind. Very large, powerful eagle. Probably one of the largest, if not the largest eagle that we get in this area. The martial eagle. If he looks at us again, look how that head's moving. Look at those beautiful yellow eyes. You see that? You can see on the underbelly that little bit of black marking, those black specks under the white, with the white underbelly, and those sharp talons. Have a look at that, wrapped around that stump or that dead tree. Incredible. Now these eagles specialize in hunting monitor lizards, these very, very large, very thick-scaled monitor lizards that we get in this area. And they're incredibly powerful lizards, but these martial eagles specialize in hunting them because they've got these sharp talons and that sharp beak to be able to tear open the skin of those monitor lizards. It's incredible to see that. They'll also hunt birds. Martial eagles may even hunt guinea fowl and that, ground birds. And there have been reports of martial eagles killing small antelope, so young newborn impala, for example, impala lambs, and maybe the odd steenbok, a little antelope called the steenbok. Martial eagles will also hunt them. It's incredible. I once watched a martial eagle trying to hunt a klipspringer, which is it's a small little antelope about the size of a duiker or a duiker, and they live in very rocky areas, rocky outcrops. They're able to jump around rocks very, very well, and this martial eagle was dive bombing and trying to catch this klipspringer, but I think the klipspringer was a bit too clever. It kept jumping from one rock to the other, avoiding the eagle. But it is not a small antelope. Well, it's not that small. It's bigger than the eagle, that's for sure. And this eagle was still trying to catch it. It's incredible. So very, very powerful birds. Alright, it's fantastic. Just to give you an idea, if I can show you how large this eagle is. If this eagle was sitting next to me on the dashboard, it would probably be about that size, maybe a little bit more, about there. That's how big this martial eagle would be if it was sitting right in front of me. Incredibly large bird. And it's so wonderful. There's a lilac-breasted roller that was flying around there that wasn't too happy with this martial eagle. Other birds do mob these eagles because, again, they are birds of prey. They just want to get them away. But this martial didn't seem very fazed at all. I actually hope it takes off. I'd like you to see the wingspan of this bird. Look at that. Hang on, what did that marshal go down for? Let's just have a look. And comment from Unkuhuma Lovebug, and she says this makes number 69 on her bird list. That's great. So new bird for you too. Let's just see if he caught anything. It's just sitting over there now in the tree. I don't think so. I thought it went down. Maybe it saw something and tried to catch it and missed. Oh, they are magnificent birds. You can see that coloration down the belly, that white underbelly with the black specks, blackish brown specks, and that really dark brown head. This is a beautiful bird. This is a special sighting. For to sit out in the open like this, for us to see it and spend time with us, it's fantastic. Usually they do move off quite quickly, but look how that head is moving around. Very, very good eyesight, and looks like it's constantly looking for food. Any little bit of movement, it's probably picking up on that and seeing if it's worth hunting. Look how it's able to turn that neck and head right around. This is really wonderful, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because I do love martial eagles. As I said, this is my favorite bird. They've just got a seriousness about them. If you look at their face, they've got these deep set eyes, and they're powerful birds. I really have enjoyed the birding the last few days. We've been so lucky. I'm going to continue doing more of it because I think there's some wonderful bird species around. We just need to try find them and catch them quick enough before they fly off. And those little feathers at the back of the head, a typical martial eagle look, that large head with those feathers forming a little bit of a crest right at the back, just with the wind blowing through them. Alright, we're going to continue and just see what else we can find. What a lovely sight to the martial eagle. Let's get back to Taylor and see what she's up to. I think Taylor might be in an area where there's a little bit of tricky signal. But I think we'll head to her shortly. This marshal hasn't flown yet. We're still going to carry on and just see what else we can find. The sun looks like it's trying to sneak through, trying to burn off some of this cloud cover. Look at that, can you see there? Alright, it sounds like Taylor's got a few gremlins on the vehicle, but let's get an update from Steph and see where he is.
To the close of this particular show today, I'm going to throw out a riddle. Have a look at this epically cup-shaped woody growth that we found. This is how it would have been in nature. It would have been up and suspended on a branch holding a plant. It can only be one of two things. Either this is an orchid or it's a mistletoe, and I'm more inclined to believe that this is a mistletoe cup, a wood rose for lack of a better description. And the reason for that is that mistletoe definitely have the ability or the means to affect a tree's growth around them, and this, in my opinion at least anyway, is nothing other than that. Would have been on a branch. The mistletoe, the branch would have been like where my arm is basically, and the tree would have grown this fantastic, what we call wood rose, and then died, leaving this cup for us to find lying on the floor. And I think it's from a mistletoe. Isn't that incredible? Now, standing next to this fantastic caterpillar pod tree, I just want to say thank you for today. We can mark this day as the beginning of summer for me with the profusion of insects that has started to come out. I just want to say thank you from my part. Thank you very much for helping me with all those questions, and you'll catch me again on walk over the next couple of days. So wherever you are in the world, have a good afternoon or a good morning. We'll see you soon.
So we just caught a quick glimpse of a woodpecker. We were going to try to show you, but just very, very quickly flew off. It was a little cardinal woodpecker, which is great. But as I said, sometimes it's not easy showing you all these birds because they sit and then they fly very, very quickly. What an exciting morning. It's been fantastic. We've had a lot of lion activity first thing this morning. Taylor's been lucky with the leopard, or leopards rather, and it's great having Steph back on the walks. I really enjoy hearing about all the little things that he gets to show you. I'm sure this afternoon is going to be quite warm again, but hopefully action-packed. Maybe we get lucky and we find out where that male leopard went to, and Tingana. I'd love to see him this afternoon. So let's see what happens, or what's in store for us then. Marie, thank you for your comment. You enjoyed the Martial Eagle just as much as I did, and you were saying it's so nice to end off the drive with the beautiful Martial. It is indeed. That really was a fantastic way to end off. We've got some Impala just off to the side now. Just sort of the brakes a little bit. I just wanted to show you some of them lying down, resting. There we go, some males. So Taylor's still experiencing some technical difficulties, but she says goodbye, I'm sure, and she'll see you later this afternoon on Drive. A big thank you to Steph again. Thank you to my friend Brian and the Thumb for an amazing morning. And also a big thank you to the ladies in the FC, the voices in my head. It's always great having your guidance and you guys sending us the questions. And of course, thank you very much to the viewers for all your wonderful, wonderful questions and comments. We will see you this afternoon. Have a great day. Goodbye, everybody.